All right, let's dive right in. We're tackling a huge question that's on the minds of so many supply chain and IT leaders out there. SAP's Advanced Planning and Optimization, APO, is officially riding into the sunset. So, what on earth comes next? Let's get into it. For decades, APO has been that reliable, go-to engine for supply chain planning. It's been the backbone for so many companies. But now that its end of life is on the horizon, a lot of folks are at a major crossroads, just trying to figure out the path forward. And believe me, it's a really big deal. And the answer? Well, it's not as simple as you might think. So before we jump into the future, let's just take a quick step back. To really get why this is such a massive shift, you have to remember that APO wasn't just another piece of software. For many businesses, it was literally the central nervous system for everything related to planning. At its heart, APO was really built on these four powerful pillars. You had demand planning for all your forecasting, supply network planning to figure out your whole distribution strategy, PPDS for what's happening right there on the factory floor, and of course, GATP to make promises to your customers that you could actually keep. These functions are absolutely critical, right? And just because APO is going away doesn't mean the need for them vanishes. Not at all. Okay, and here is probably the most important thing to wrap your head around. This is not about installing some patch or upgrading to APO 2.0. That's not what's happening. SAP is fundamentally rethinking the entire architecture of supply chain planning. They're moving away from a single, do-it-all system to something much more dynamic and specialized. So, what does this new world actually look like? This is where a lot of the confusion can start because there is no single replacement for APO. Instead, its spirit, its capabilities, have been split into a new, incredibly powerful duo. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that uncertainty that so many organizations have been feeling. And you look at that and you think, oh, that's a problem. But actually, it's the beginning of the solution. The fact that there isn't one successor isn't a weakness. It's the entire point of the new strategy. So here's the breakdown. This is how that split actually works. On one hand, you have the strategic, longer-term planning functions. That's your demand planning and your supply network planning. Those are moving into a new home called SAP Integrated Business Planning, or IBP. Then, on the other hand, the operational, right-now execution functions, your PPDS and GATP, which, by the way, is now called Advanced ATP, they're being embedded directly into SAP S/4HANA itself. A great way to think about this is like comparing tools. APO is kind of like that old, trusty Swiss Army knife. It could do a lot of things pretty well, but it wasn't a specialist. The new way? It gives you two high-performance power tools. You've got IBP for your big-picture strategic planning, and then you have S/4HANA for flawless, real-time execution on the ground. And the best part is, they're designed to work together in perfect sync. Okay, so we've covered the what is changing. Now we get to the really exciting part, why this change is such a massive leap forward. This new setup isn't just a replacement. It is a serious upgrade in your capabilities. So first up, IBP. This thing completely changes the game for strategic planning. It's no longer some siloed back-office task. IBP creates a single, unified plan that brings everybody, sales, finance, management, even your key suppliers and customers, to the very same table. And because it runs on the insane power of HANA, you can run complex what-if scenarios in seconds and get AI-driven recommendations to help you make those really big decisions. And then you've got the other half of this powerhouse. By putting tools like PPDS and that much-improved Advanced ATP right inside S/4HANA, the gap between your plan and what's actually happening just disappears. There's no more data latency, no more waiting for batch jobs to run overnight. Your operational planning is now using the exact same live data as your core business transactions. It's a total game changer. Now, this all sounds fantastic, right? But the big question is, how do you actually get there? Let's be real, moving off of APO is a major project. It requires some serious strategic thinking, not just a technical roadmap. So let's look at the key questions you've got to ask. This is really a business transformation project that's just disguised as a software migration. Seriously. You have to start by looking at your current processes and seeing this as a golden opportunity to make them better. You've got to be honest about all those old customizations. Most of them probably aren't going to make the trip. And crucially, whatever you plan has to perfectly sync up with your company's bigger S/4HANA strategy. And finally, and this might be the most important part, you have to ask if your company culture is ready for this. The tools enable a whole new level of collaboration, but it's the people who have to want to work that way. So, as we start to wrap this up, it's pretty clear that the end of APO isn't really an end at all. It's the beginning of a new, way more powerful way to run your supply chain. Look, the move from APO to IBP and S/4HANA is your chance to break free from the old constraints. It's a genuine opportunity to build a supply chain that isn't just efficient, but one that's intelligent, deeply collaborative, and can react in real time. And that's really the question I want to leave you with. Just think about it. When your big strategic plans and your day-to-day operations are perfectly in sync, running on live data, what could that really mean for your business? What new level of performance, of agility, of customer happiness could you unlock? The possibilities are truly exciting, and they are now within reach. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.